In the last video, we started out trying to understand this line here. When this line here, it has two parts. There's one number in front of the x, and then you plus a single number on its own, and we try to understand this. When something's complicated in maths, when something's complicated, and it's not just in maths, in general, when something's complicated, break it up into smaller bits, and then investigate the simpler, smaller bits. So, for example, when we try to understand this here, it looks quite complicated. So we broke it up into two parts: this plus this, and then we threw away this part and just try to investigate this bit here. So what happens when we start changing this number in front of the x? What happens when it's 4, or what happens when it's 2, and so on. So we looked at y equals x. So really there's a 1 in here, but we don't bother putting the 1 in there, because 1 times x is just x. So we just looked at this, y equals x, and then we plotted some points. So x, y, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And then, well, when x is 0, then y must be 0, because if you put 0, if you have a bubble here equals a bubble here, if you put 0 in here, this must be 0. If you put 1 in here, this must be 1. If you put 3 in here, this must be 3. So when x is 1, y is 1. When x is 2, y is 2, and so on. So it turns out that the graph will look something like this. It's a straight line. When x is minus 1, y is minus 1. And when x is minus 2, y is minus 2. So it turns out to be like this. So this here is a line of y equals x. And then if you have y equals 2x, then it would be 1. Yeah, it would be 1 across, 2 up, 1 across, 2 up, and then it's like that. So this line here is y equals 2x. And then if you try and investigate y equals 3x, well, it turns out to be 1 across, 3 up. 1 across, 3 up. So it gets steeper and steeper. If you do y equals 4x, it's 1 across and then 4 up. 1 across. So it just gets steeper and steeper. 1 across. If you do y equals 5x, it's 1 across and then 5 up. So well, investigate for yourself. Try to create a table like this. X equals this. If you want to investigate y equals, let's say 7x, investigate it like this. Create a table y and x and y here, and then 0, 1, and then just put 0 into the x here. If you put 0 into the x, you would get 7, and then you can actually extend it to negative numbers. So minus 1, minus 2, and so on in this direction here. Okay. Well, anyway, so here you've got a line. In the last video we broke it up and threw away this part. Now we are going to break it up like this. Let's try and do it. Y equals, let's say just say x here, because in effect there's a number 1 in here, but we don't bother with the 1. We just write it as y equals x. Okay. Now let's try and investigate plus a number. Let's say 1 minute we're going to say 1. The next one we're going to say 3. What happens when it's x plus 3, say, or x plus 1? Okay. So let's start with something really simple. Let's try and investigate y equals x plus 1. Now, well, y equals x on its own only, we know it's a straight diagonal line like this. Okay. But what happens when we have plus 1? Well, let's draw a table here. Hang on. Well, y equals x plus 1. So I'm going to put the x somewhere here. X here. So later I can go into the negative realm. So here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, you could go on further than 5 if you want to. Okay. When this one here is y. When x is 0, when you put 0 into this x here, y, the whole thing would be 1. Okay. When you when you put 1 into this x, Well, let's compare with this here. When you put 1 into the x here on this side, you will get 1, and then you have to add 1, so that will be 2. Well, if you put it into here, it will be just 1. So hang on, you see what I mean later. Okay, so let's look at this here. When if you try and plot the line, y equals x, okay, y equals x would be, when x is 0, well, y would be 0. So y equals x would be here, okay. Now if you try and plot the line y equals x plus 1, well, y equals x is 0, but then you add 1. So that means you basically push yourself up 1 here like this. So it was here, but then you have to move up 1 space up here. Okay. Now let's look at when x is 1. Well, when x is 1, normally y would be 1. But then on this side, normally y would be 1 here, but then you've got to add 1 here, so it becomes 2. Well, anyway, let's have a look at this on the diagram. So when you're trying to look at y equals x over here, well, let's look at it in this case, for this case here. When x is 1, y will be 1. So when x is 1, y will be 1. So this here would be the y equals x. Now let's have a look at y equals x plus 1. Well, when x is 1, that means when it's here, okay, well, normally it's 1, but then you've got to add this extra 1 here. So, normally it was here, but then you got to push it up, so the new point would be here. So this dot here represents this side, the purple dots here represents this bit here. Okay, so it was here and then it moved up here. Okay, just bear with me. You see why later. 2, when x is 2, normally is 2. When you put 2 into here, the y will be 2. But because we are investigating this one here, let's put let's put x into this 2 in. Let's put 2 into this x here. Normally it's 2, but then you've got to add 1, so this will be 3. So what that means is when x is 2, normally it's here. Well, normally if you investigate this, it would be here. But because you're adding 1 over here, you're actually pushing it up 1. And the thing is, well, when x is 3, normally it's here, but then because you're adding the 1, you're going to push it up here. So, and look at the 4. When x is 4, y would be 4. So normally it would be here, but because you're adding an extra 1, you're going to push it up here. So basically the line here it looks like this, as opposed to this. Okay, so hang on. So watch this. If you're trying to investigate y equals x, okay, y equals x will look like this. Hang on. Okay, and the thing is, and you can extend it down here as well. But if you're trying to investigate y equals, let's say, x plus 1, well, normally it would be here, but then because we've got add 1, we've got to move it up here. Now normally it would be here, but because we're adding 1, we've got to move it up here. Normally it's 1, normally it's here, but then because we're adding 1, we've got to move it up here. So you can see everything gets shifted up 1. Can you see that? It gets shifted up 1. So the line y equals x plus 1, it will look like this. It's exactly the same gradient, but everything gets shifted up 1. So it was here, but then you've got to move it up. You've got to move it up 1. So it's like this. See, it was here, but then you move it up 1. See, it was here, but because you're adding 1, you've got to move it up 1. So it's basically the same gradient, but then you move it up 1. So hang on. So y equals hang on. Let me try and do this. Hang on. Bear with me. So y equals x would look something like this. Hang on. Bear with me. Would look something like this. Okay. And so this line here is y equals x. So now let's try and draw the line y equals equals x plus 1. So y equals x plus 1 will look something like this, here and here. Okay, so everything's the same, but it just gets shifted up 1. So if you think about it, if you look at when x is 3 here, it was here, but then you've got to move it up 1 here. So if you look at 5 here, it was here, but then you've got to move it up to 6, and so on. And it turns out that if you have x plus let's say 3, well, it was when you look at x y equals x, and then you've got to add the 3, so you've got to shift it up 3. Okay, so it's there when x is 1. Well, when you try and plot this line here, it will look like this. It would be y equals x, and then you've got to add 3 up here, so it would be here. When it's here, you've got to add 3. 1, 2, 3. So it would be here, and it turns out that it would be this line here. Hang on, let me try and do this here. It would be hang on. Try and draw a diagonal line here. It would be here like that. So this line here would be y equals x plus 3. And if you look at it, y equals x plus 3, it gets shifted up 3. It gets shifted up 3. It gets shifted up 3. Basically, start with y equals x, and then add 3 to it. So when you have something like this, y equals x plus whatever, let's say 7. Well, start with y equals x, which is this purple line here, and then it gets shifted up 7. Everything gets shifted up 7. So it's basically somewhere up here. Okay, so when you have y equals x and then plus let's say any number c, okay, plus c, you basically add the c. You start with y equals x here like this, and then maybe you got to add c to it. So you're shifting it up. Okay.